Hello guys, my name is Eddie Keaton with free Alternative News SourceTV, aka Fans. So this will be my first video and attempt at a news source. So go ahead, like, subscribe, and share. Also, I'm sorry for the microphone. It isn't the best, but we'll do our best in the future to invest in a better microphone. Let me quickly introduce myself since nobody's ever heard of my news station before. As I said, I am your host of fansTV. We stand for Free Alternative News Source TV. And my name, Eddie Keaton. I'll bring you the breaking news, important news, world events, and more on a daily basis. Sometimes even more than once a day, depending on what is happening in our world that day. So today is just going to be just a quick test upload, just to see what we can do here. So today I want to talk to you something that CNN has released. And they're calling it a dangerous choice looms for Trump on North Korea. So I don't know if you guys remember, but the Hwasong-15 was launched, I believe, about a week ago. And North Korea was calling this a successful launch. But if you remember, the ICBM, or Intercontinental Ballistics Missile, did not make it back into the atmosphere. So they say it broke up, and that seems to be North Korea's biggest issue, is their rockets and missiles, etc., re-entering our atmosphere. So let's go ahead and take a quick watch at this video. This is just a quick, the Hwasong-15 being launched by North Korea. Well, I hope their advances in technology, their advances in technology don't seem to be going very quickly, in my opinion, considering they can't even bring a missile back into the atmosphere of the world. So, I guess we'll see where they go with that. I guess that would probably be their next step, maybe their final step. And I mean, I'll get into it in later videos, but my opinion, they've already got the technology. They're just waiting on the perfect time. Maybe they're just acting like they don't have the technology, and they're waiting for the perfect time. So I guess we'll see. It spent 53 minutes in the air and traveled about 950 kilometers. That's 590 miles. And it landed in the waters off of the coast of Japan. Now, 590 miles, I believe, is the furthest that one of their ICBMs has traveled. And I don't think it probably didn't have a nuclear warhead on it or anything that would weigh as a proxy for a nuclear warhead. So I'm doubting, it would go that far with a nuclear warhead attached to it. Alright guys, so what it says is, this is coming straight out of Washington. Only President Donald Trump and his closest advisors may truly know how close the U.S. is to war with North Korea as the administration's standoff with Pyongyang continues to escalate. That seems like a little bit, this whole article seems a little fear-mongering to me. Which seems like most of the mainstream media is trying to do. They're trying to scare us into believing that North Korea is this huge, strong power, and they're growing so fast, so much more quickly than we anticipated or thought they ever could. Trump's national security advisor, H.R. McMaster, said last week that the threat of war with North Korea is increasing every day. And it's not just with North Korea. The threat of war is increasing with everybody every day. It's increasing with especially Russia and China. A stark warning that is raising new questions about whether the administration has a predetermined red line for military action after the rogue regime's latest and most successful intercontinental ballistic missile to date, which is that Hwasong-15. While Trump has been eager to confront North Korean leader Kim Jong-un both verbally and via Twitter, His threats of fire and fury have largely been tempered by assurances from top advisors who assist the U.S. Remains committed to prioritizing a peaceful resolutions to tensions in Pyongyang. But Trump's provocative rhetoric and suggestions of considering a preventative war have raised concerns that he may be more willing to engage in a conflict on the Korean Peninsula than past presidents. Well, I mean, take a look at what Donald Trump does. He's got a backbone. Of course he's going to be willing to engage in conflict, not just on the North Korean peninsula, but anywhere than any other past president, especially Obama. One former senior defense official told CNN that Trump would ultimately decide on his own whether or not the U.S. makes the first move. And I might be wrong, but I don't think that President Trump can make that decision. I may be wrong, so down in the comments, let me know if it's Trump that makes that decision or if it's Congress that makes that decision. I think it's Congress. I don't think Trump can just, say attack and we attack. I think there's other steps than that, unless martial law is enacted or something. I don't know. Let me know how that is down in the comments. The only reason we will have war is if President Trump wants war, the source said. He is the wild card in this. He can order us to start a war via preemptive strike. But any decision involving military force would likely be made from the input that Trump's national security team, including McMaster, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, who I heard might not be around too much longer, Defense Secretary James Mattis, CIA Director Mike Pompeo, which is going to move up and take Rex Tillerson's spot, if I'm right, and Chief of Staff John Kelly. Most of Trump's national security advisors have said the military's options should be reserved pending an imminent threat to the U.S. or allies. But McMaster said, hold on, let me stop there. Pending an imminent threat to the U.S. or allies. North Korea shooting missiles and warning us, saying that they're going to wipe us into oblivion. That's not imminent threat to the U.S. or allies. I don't know what is. But McMaster has repeatedly suggested otherwise, even hinting that conflict is a real possibility and one that could come soon. But what I think is going on is I think what the media is trying to do is they're trying to brainwash the civilians into thinking that North Korea is this dangerous entity. That way we agree when Washington decides to take the first move and cross that red line and attack Pyongyang or anywhere in North Korea. That's what I think is going on there. Because if they were to attack before the fear-mongering started, nobody would agree, and there would be the civil unjust issues there. That's just my opinion. That's why they have the media, doing all the fear-mongering and stuff like that for 4, 5, 6 months prior to when we actually attack. That way, when we do attack, the civilians, U.S. civilians, feel it's just, and they don't, and they have the United States or Washington's back. Most of Trump's top national security advisors have said that military options should be reserved pending an imminent threat to the U.S. or allies. Again, I really believe that there is an imminent threat. I believe there's been an imminent threat. In addition to his comments last week, McMaster has previously ruled out any diplomatic scenario short of denuclearization, a demand that Pyongyang has consistently said it will not meet. And I believe them. They're not going to get rid of their nukes or their nuclear technology. We're going to have to force them or take it. Accept and deter is unacceptable. So this puts us in a situation where we are in a race to resolve this short of military action. And in my opinion, we've done everything other than military action. The only next step is military action. He said last month, adding the president has made it clear he's not going to accept this regime threatening the United States with a nuclear weapon. So I think it's about time he steps up and does something, because he's been threatening. The next step is he's going to act. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. McMaster's retort could indicate that he views the threat of a military option as a viable tool for forcibly denuclearization of North Korea, making him part of what one expert called the administration's talking is futile camp. So pretty much talking doesn't help. It doesn't do nothing. Pretty much they got to walk the walk. Something we are not doing right now. A strategy pursuing forcible denuclearization does not necessarily indicate support for preemptive military action, but could use provocative rhetoric and attempt to bait Kim into miscalculation or a scenario in which North Korea initiates a U.S. response, according to Vipin Narang, an associate professor at the political science at MIT and a member of MIT Security Studies program. So as you can see right here, this is the Hwasong-15 is the highest ICBM or intercontinental ballistic missile to date on November 29th. All the other ones, none of them have, well, the Hwasong-14 on the 28th of July 4th and the Hwasong-12 did not exit the atmosphere, I don't think. But the 15 did on November 29th, as you can see right here. But it did not make it back into the atmosphere. They're going to have to work on that shielding. Otherwise, their equipment burns up as it's re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. A spokesman for North Korea's foreign ministry said Wednesday that Pyongyang does not want war. I can't tell. But if a conflict should occur, it will be initiated by the U.S. Which I believe that U.S. is going to take the first step. We are going to take the first step. We are going to, we're a decapitation strike or something like that. I really believe it, that U.S. is going to strike first. Should the U.S. miscalculate our patience and like defuse for a nuclear war, we will surely make the U.S. dearly pay for consequences. Now, if that isn't a threat, I don't know what is. So, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, a Republican hawk who sits at the Senate's Armed Services Committee, recently said that North Korea's advancing military technology makes the possibility of preemptive war more likely. And I think we're running out of time. Obviously, this guy thinks we're running out of time. While Graham believes time is running out for the U.S. to prevent Pyongyang from developing that capability, some may say the clock has already hit zero. And I say it's hit zero a long time ago. And here we get into, how much of a payload it would take for this to happen and that would happen. A North Korean missile with a nuclear payload capable of striking an American city is no longer a distant hypothetical but in imminent danger. How is it in imminent danger if their very last ICBM did not enter the Earth's atmosphere? It burned up. The best thing I could see happening is maybe an EMP, or they load their stuff up in a submarine, get as close to the United States border as they can, and shoot it from a submarine where it doesn't have to exit the atmosphere. Just, a straight line with a little bit of an arch and hit California or something like that, the west side of the United States. That's the only other option if they can't build some type of shield on the missile to help it enter the atmosphere. Or an EMP strike above the atmosphere would ultimately do a lot of damage. Search Google and YouTube for EMP or electromagnetic pulse. There is definitely a lot of stuff there. So guys, I hope you think that I did okay on my first news source. Go ahead, please like and subscribe and share our first video. This is fansTV, free alternative news source TV, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Again, I'm Eddie Keaton with fansTV. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.